everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to do something a little fun, a little different, and that is rank Utah's 5 national parks. During the fall of 2022, me and my now husband went on a road trip from here where we live in Minnesota down to Utah and did all 5 of the national parks. And somehow we managed to do all 5 of them in just 4 days. It was a fantastic road trip. We got to do a whole bunch of camping, hiking, and just exploring a whole bunch of places that we've never been before. And today I wanted to rank all 5 of the national parks from which I liked the least to which I liked the most. And I thought I'd give some pros and cons of each one as well. And this is kind of based on a number of things, just how much I liked them, how fun it was, how unique it was, and just my overall experience in general. And I just wanted to say that I loved all of these parks, so even my park that's in the number 5 spot, I still loved and had a great time at. And keep in mind that this is all just my opinion, and if you've been to these national parks, I would love to hear how your ranking compares to mine. So let's go ahead and get into it with my number 5 park, the one that I liked the least out of all the other ones, but remember, keep in mind, it's still a fantastic park, and that is Capitol Reef. Now, there's some outside factors that went into play here on why this park is number 5, partly because we had to do 2 parks in one day. Like I said, we did 5 in 4 days, so unfortunately, Capitol Reef was one that we had to do in just half a day. So we didn't get to spend tons of time here, and unfortunately didn't get to do any real hikes, but we did stop and see the petroglyphs, which were super cool. We also camped right outside the park borders, kind of near the town called Torrey, and we had this absolutely gorgeous campsite, and this was just a free dispersed camping spot, but we got so lucky. We drove our Prius up this dirt hill, parked our tent right on top, and had just this amazing sunset, beautiful views of the park. You could see the little town in the distance. Being up on the hill, you just had this elevated view of the whole area, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So we loved camping there, and the park itself is pretty quiet. There's not a ton of people that visit it, so if you're not a fan of crowds, this is the park for you. But I definitely need to go back to this park and do some actual hikes because I know there's a few there that are really cool. We just unfortunately didn't have the time, so that is why I had to place it at number 5. Next up in my number 4 spot is Canyonlands. This was the other park that we had to squeeze into the same day as Capitol Reef. So we spent the morning at Canyonlands, drove a couple hours to Capitol Reef, and then spent the evening there. This park again is beautiful. It's like a mini Grand Canyon. It is so scenic. There are so many overlooks to stop at. And unfortunately again, since we just didn't have a ton of time, we only did the Island in the Sky section. Absolutely need to come back and do the Needles. The only real hike that we did there was Mesa Arch, and it's a very short hike. I think it's only like a quarter mile or something like that, but beautiful, stunning views. There was also a ton of off-road options, but we were in our Prius and again, short on time, but that's something that we definitely want to come back and do because it looks like a lot of fun. This park is also very conveniently located next to my number 3 pick, which is Arches. I had a hard time deciding where to put Arches, but I ultimately ended at number 3, right in the middle. There's a lot going for this park, and we had so much fun here. There's so much to stop and do and see. Of course, this is the home of Delicate Arch, one of the most iconic arches in all of Utah, if not the world. This hike is also a lot of fun. It's almost all uphill and in the sun, so you do have to be prepared for that. Definitely bring sunscreen, definitely bring a hat. This park was also very busy, even with the timed entry that you have to do. So keep that in mind if you're visiting. You do have to make reservations online at recreation.gov, but it's still a very busy park even with that. Top of Delicate Arch, there's people scattered everywhere. You usually have to wait in line to even take your picture with the Delicate Arch, but that also means there's lots of people around to take your picture. Very crowded park, but so much fun. It's also literally right next to the town of Moab, which is super cute. We loved the rock shop there. Lots of little stores and restaurants to stop at. And we also camped right nearby at Ken's Lake Campground. This is about 20-30 minutes south of the park. This wasn't a free campground, but it did offer pit toilets and a fire pit. So we ended up making our dinner there and cooking some hot dogs and s'mores. Yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this park and would definitely want to come back again. I'm definitely going to be saying that with every single park, that I want to come back and spend more time there because there's just so much to do and see. But that leads us to number 2, which is Bryce Canyon. This park was so unassuming from the outside. Driving up to it, my husband had no idea what this park looked like. He'd never seen any pictures of it. You drive up to it and you finally see it for the first time and you're like, oh my god, you would never expect this to be there from driving into the park. This is definitely one of the most unique national parks, and that's why it ranks a little bit higher on my list. We did the Navajo Loop to Queen's Garden Trailhead. Absolutely loved this. You can get a really nice feel of the park. You get to go down into the canyon, do all the little switchbacks, and see some of the most iconic places in the park. It was slightly on the busy side, but we didn't find it to be too much of a problem. But there's lots of little overlooks to see. You can drive up the whole length and just stop at all of these different overlooks and get slightly different views from around the park. But yeah, this park is so unique, so beautiful, lots of fun, and a definite must stop. And that leads us to number 1, which I don't think is anybody's surprise here, but that is of course Zion. I mean, this park has so much going for it with the Narrows and the Angel's Landing and just the beautiful scenery. We ended up doing Lower Emerald Pools Trail. This was a nice kind of warm-up trail. It's not super long, but again, leads to beautiful scenery. And then our main park at the hike was the Narrows. Absolutely loved it. This is one of my all-time favorite hikes. So much fun and just so unique being able to hike up a river. But of course, do your research, be prepared, be safe. You can rent all the gear that you need at the park or bring it from home. And of course, again, we will definitely be back to this park because we didn't get a chance to do Angel's Landing, which is one of my bucket list hikes. So I'm super excited to come back and do that trail sometime. The biggest downside to this park is that it is so busy. We got to this park very, very early in the morning and the parking lot was already completely packed, full to the brim. We had to park in the town that was nearby and take the shuttle in, which just ended up costing us a little bit more money and cost a little more time out of our day. So be prepared for crowds even if you're going in the off season. But yeah, that's one of the only downsides, is that it is just so busy, but it's busy for a reason. And there's so many different unique hikes and things to do at this park, so there's something for everybody. So that is my overall ranking of Utah's 5 national parks. Again, I would love to hear in the comments how your list compares to mine. What did you think was the best? What was your least favorite? And if you're not already, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I post there every day, and make sure to subscribe to me here as well. And thank you so much for watching.